countervailing interest, and other problems. Well, one of them has been vagueness, and confusion and loopholes, and ambiguity. Now, Councilman Fulop will tell you that even as a week ago, he had a question or concern about the previous pay-to-play ordinance that was passed that was, he wasn't sure about. Okay, and there's been questions about that throughout time. This is one we passed previously, and other initiatives that have been passed at the state level have had questions. Here we're discussing potential gray area here. So, just to give you an idea of some of the things we discussed at these meetings, it takes a couple of minutes because we had like a month of them. We said, is there a possibility to abolish the gray area and accomplish the goal by having a simple one-page redevelopment, pay-to-play ordinance that says we're going to set a low contribution limit and apply it to everyone. Not only does that take away the gray area, but it also respects First Amendment rights. Now, the Supreme Court of the United States has actually said, believe it or not, that contributions are a highest form of protected First Amendment right. Doesn't mean that you can't restrict them in certain circumstances, and it has been done at the federal and the local level, and it's been upheld in court, and you can. All right? But nonetheless, we have to be respectful of those rights. But simplicity, taking away vagueness and loopholes, maybe could have been done through saying, you know what, we're going to limit donations from everyone to $500. Maybe that's cutting edge. The problem with that is it's very questionable and probably doubtful that we have the legal right to do that as a municipality because the state has not said you can set your own campaign contribution limits. Only you can do so if you have a contract with a potential contributor. All right. So those types of ideas and saying you can't build a war chest or you limit the amount of time you can raise money, well, those types of proposals, we may not be able to do that. All right. We may be able to make a recommendation to the state to pass something like that. We talked about this, and at the last meeting we talked about some of the some issues that were out there. This particular one was really not discussed about when the effective date of banning contributions. I don't think was subject to too much discussion in the group. What was discussed was, okay, it applies not only to people who have contracts with the city. This ordinance would apply to consultants, certain consultants, and lawyers and planners who assist developers in certain circumstances. You know, is there a legal right to do that? Is there a legal right to do what? I'm going to be done in a minute. Is there a legal right to do that even though they're not in a contract with the city? Maybe you can say that there is because there's an agency relationship with the contractor. Is there some vagueness in that area as well? There was this one of the things I think that Councilman Salvano talked about is the citizens, the private right of action. You know, how broad that is, will it cost taxpayers money, could it be abused, can it be restricted or limited to say that what's the point of those types of lawsuits? And the other thing we talked about is, can it actually be enhanced to achieve the goal, right? And the goal is to take away the real or perceived influence of donations by broadening the disclosure requirement. Because, as I said before, designated redevelopers are, I haven't done an analysis of it, but they're only a certain percentage of the developers that are out there. And they typically only get designated as a redeveloper, from what I understand, in the circumstances where they're going to utilize an eminent domain to acquire property that is not within their authority in their possession. That might be a redevelopment area. So in other words, to get a tax abatement, for example, you don't need to be a designated redeveloper. So for some of these people, if they get this punishment, it may not be so consequential to them anyway. But I think those are the main topics.
She asked the question.
And the last thing was that we said we were going to sit and have a discussion and move it down the road, but then at the end we said, well, maybe we're going to.
My question is,
yeah.
Did you agree in it? You guys got together, you met together. I'd like to know what you agreed.
I was going to say exactly what I was going to say. So first of all, I don't like the terminology just wanted to, John, first,
I
misunderstood him.
wish y'all would answer my question. My
The answer is
question
no.
is,
The answer is
you
no.
guys get together
The
and
answer is no.
come up with any conclusion.
The answer is no. And we met 3 times, and I think that where we are today is that there's a difference of policy opinions, that there's not going to be something that's going to be solved based on more of these negotiations or conversations, whereas many in the community, myself included, think that this is a baseline, bare minimum approach, and some people don't feel that. That is a starting point. So we are not at a place that a resolution is really possible. And so at the end of the day, tomorrow, it's more of a policy discussion on how you feel at the council. Okay? Now, I just want to say one thing. I'm done. 2 years ago, based on the time on this, we had met 3 times in the last month. There was no alternative in front of the council today. We met for the last 2 years. This has been somewhere in the process, whether it's community groups coming forward, whether it's been discussed. There has been nothing that's moved it forward. I think, my personal belief, is that tabling this or anything short of taking an aggressive approach would be equivalent to voting no. And I think that it would be counter to everything good that we are trying to do in this city. This is a bare minimum. And I would say that whether stricter or not stricter, the 1 year or the time of start of negotiations, it's better to do the stricter approach.
I mean, I gotta say one thing. I gotta say one thing. I gotta clarify one thing.
Mike, let's,
When you misinterpreted, Councilman, when I talked about punishment. Punishment is not being subject to the campaign restrictions. That's not what I'm talking about. What I meant was, if a potential redeveloper is successfully sued underneath this ordinance, my point was the punishment of having lost that litigation might not be such a great punishment because they would still be able to develop, right? They would just because you lose your redeveloper status. I did not contend that, you're being punished because you can't get treated anymore. That's not what I was saying whatsoever.
it's just
I made a little point.
it's a baseline. And if you believe that, for your point, that maybe we can make something stricter down the road, right? And this is just something that we can still work on. I think that the will of many in the community, myself included, is to move this forward as a baseline. I think that myself, Callahan, the community is willing to work forward for the next month, 6 months, years, and whether it's strengthen this or tweak this, but we have an opportunity tomorrow to do something meaningful. And being that, if you even say yourself that this is a baseline, okay, that there's something we can do that's stronger, that's great, but let's start here. There's no downside.
Yeah, but
Stephen, there's a point. Why is Wednesday tomorrow to drop that date on this? I mean, we've worked with this for, not me personally, but Dan Levin and others have worked on this for 2.5 years. Okay. I was under the impression that when we started this whole process, when we introduced unanimously, that in fact we were going to allow the general public Wednesday evening, who 100 people or whatever numbers tend to come and express their opinion, that we were going to listen to that intently. And then Michael and I met this morning and we came up with some possible amendments that would make that different. So I just wanted to say, and Dan and I talked about it at one time, that in fact it wasn't that large an issue that we had to drop dead tomorrow night and do this. That they were willing to listen to the public, get any new ideas that could foster from that, to look at some amendments that came up in the meantime, and then possibly at the next meeting, we have the possibility of putting all that information together. But just to rush forward and have a yes or no tomorrow night, I don't think it's fair.
I just wanted to respond and say that if there's no downside, for your point, to accept it as a base case minimum and then move forward and work to adopt it. And I would say, look, I just wanted to say for the legal points that were mentioned earlier, whether it's legal, whether we revisit things, if you look at the history of this council, minus Councilman Lopez and Councilman Phil Kenny, you would realize that in the past 4 years, you could point to examples, whether it's the gun ordinance, the gun laws that was knocked down in court and we were